to everyone. Bonjour à tous. Today is March 23rd, and on this day in 1648, the Treaty of Concordia was signed in St. Martin between the French and the Dutch, dividing the island between both of them. So, 377 years later, the island is still shared. And today, we will be discussing just that with the youth of the island. So, welcome to this roundtable on the Treaty of Concordia, and a special welcome to you, members of the St. Martin Youth Parliament and members of the Conseil Territorial des Jeunes, who will take part to this roundtable. Of course, thank you to their coordinating teams, without which we couldn't have made this event possible. And it's very interesting that the youth of today can discuss our past, our present, and our future. I am Steffi Gomes, and I am your host for this conversation. So, how will this work? We will have 3 rounds of discussions around the Treaty of Concordia with different members of the youth councils, French side and Dutch side. And at the end, 2 of our elected officials from both sides will end the conversation with concluding words. So, let's first start by introducing our participants to this conversation. Representing the Conseil Territorial des Jeunes, représentant le Conseil Territorial des Jeunes, nous avons avec nous Emmeline, Chloé, bonjour. And representing the St. Martin Youth Parliament, we have Lindell. Hello. And Enrique. Hello. Great! It's great to have you all around for this first round of questions. But before hearing their opinion on the matter, they had the occasion to go and ask in the streets near supermarkets, which I won't name, what was the opinion of the population of this Treaty of Concordia. And the first question was quite simple, right? What do you know about the Treaty of Concordia? Let's see their answers.
What do you know about the Treaty of Concordia?
I don't know nothing about the Treaty of Concordia.
Not really, I don't know much about that.
Oh, what a question.
I don't have it in my head today because I work so much, I'm a little tired, you know.
Non, je suis pas au courant.
Waouh. Je sais pas du tout.
Ah non, pas du tout, je m'y intéresse pas.
Vous avez un peu une idée du... Non?
Qu'est-ce que ça doit être?
Donnez-moi une idée, vite fait.
Non, je vais pas aller dans des idées. Ce que je sais pas, voilà.
What treaty that basically divided the island from French and Dutch side?
Traité de Concordia, je crois que c'était 1635.
1648.
48, voilà.
The Treaty of Concordia was signed back in 1648.
Is the treaty signed between the Dutch and the French side of the island.
First time I hear that word.
First time
I know a place up in Marigot have a road called Concordia.
Yes, the Concordia Hill.
Treaty of Concordia was established between the Dutch side and the French side so they can have a better working relationship with each other, so the flow of communication can be better.
Which basically gave the movement between the French and the Dutch, and even if anything went wrong between Holland and France, St. Martin population, they will always not participate in that.
It's an agreement between St. Martin that we're going to work together. Hoopa!
And why is it important? It allows our people to have the freedom of moving between each other, and thus we are one family.
You've just heard some of the answers regarding what the population knows about the Treaty of Concordia, with different knowledge levels depending on the people. So you, I guess, know a bit more than them. Can you let us know what is the Treaty of Concordia and what is its importance for the island?
Actually, the Treaty of Concordia is called the Partition Treaty of 1648. It was signed on the 23rd of March in 1648 on the Mount of Concordia. So it is really prevalent to maintain and create unity and allow cooperation between both sides of the island. And it defines a unique kind of relationship between these 2 parts of the island, and it helps us to live in harmony.
Okay. What makes it so unique for you guys?
Well, contrary to other islands or other places that are divided, we have an open border, so we are free to go to both sides whenever we want without having to show any papers or any documents.
Okay, so 1648 marks 377 years.
Yes.
That's a long time.
Very long.
How do you feel about us being able to maintain something like this for so long?
Well, to me, I feel like it's great because me, for one, would not want to go to war with our European counterparts. So I'm very glad that we, as our island, we are able to maintain this pact of friendliness, this pact of peace between each other. The free movement is very important because, quite frankly, for our tourism industry, when tourists come to one island, they get in 2 islands for the price of one. So.
Well, how do you feel that this one island also favors the people of St. Martin that live here? Do you have the occasion to come to the French side? Is it easy for you, or do you have the occasion to go to the Dutch side?
Yes.
Yes.
I do go to the Dutch side very often, I would say. Whether it's for shopping, to go to restaurants, to the beach. It's, yeah.
So we saw that during the street interview, not everyone had a very large, knowledge of what was the Treaty of Concordia. Do you have any guess of why it's not as known? But it's been there for a long time, but people don't know it. Can you guess why?
Due to education. If the people aren't educated properly on what our Treaty of Concordia is, they won't effectively share that history and passion towards the next generation.
Okay. Do you feel like you had the opportunity to be educated about the Treaty of Concordia?
Yes, I have. In primary school at Martin Luther King, I also used to live on the French side, so I used to cross the border every day to go and from school. So that was pretty amazing.
So you really lived the reality of the Treaty of Concordia?
I lived the reality.
Okay. Do you know some of the specifics of the text of the treaty? No.
Well, I think there is a non-aggression pact between the two sides, and also cooperation on security. I read that if, for example, there is an issue in the French side with someone, the police from the Dutch, which is from the Dutch side, the police from the French side has to bring back the person to the Dutch side.
Yes, so there's security, but there's also resources because, as you know, we have ponds, salt ponds, we have other natural resources, so they also mention that. And so do you feel like you can, you as youths of St. Martin, do you feel that you can take advantage of the resources of the island, whether they're on the French or the Dutch side? Do you get to enjoy the whole island and make the best of both sides?
Yes, even when I travel from the Dutch side to the French side, I still feel welcomed. I still feel like I'm a part of the community. The French side of the island, people don't really treat you different because they speak English as well on the French side. So, yeah, even if we can't share from Dutch and French, we can have English to talk to each other in.
Yes, it's definitely something that is in common between us. So we did speak about the fact that the French and the Dutch signed the treaty, but there were also a lot of English-speaking people who came, and that makes us so unique. And the Treaty of Concordia being so open and welcoming people also helped. There's one word that stands out to me in the Treaty of Concordia, it's the word of friendship or allyship. How do you feel that this spirit of allyship or friendship is still alive on the island?
I really enjoyed that, the friendship and allyship. We see it a lot, especially on November 11th, St. Martin's Day. And we see that every year one side of the island hosts it. So last year it was the French side where our Prime Minister, the Collectivité, and the Prefect and the President of the Collectivité, they all came together on the French side to celebrate St. Martin's Day. And then the year before it was on the Dutch side, and it really shows the bond, the unity, and the respect of the country, of the island and their governments.
Right.
I will join you on that. Not only as on the, as you said, the president from the Dutch side, from the French side, and the Prime Minister on the Dutch side came together and celebrated. But the people also seeing them come out and celebrate the St. Martin's Day is something very special. You don't see that everywhere. Because I know some other places, they know that they have a day to celebrate, but they don't really go all out. And in St. Martin, people prepare St. Martin's Day like months in advance, and that's something very special.
Especially our national parade, people with the flags and everything, and then really enjoying.
It's very beautiful.
It's very beautiful.
Yes, St. Martin people are very patriotic.
Yes.
I think you're correct.
Yeah, especially since the creation of the unity flag, which is like an attempt to make the alliance more concrete.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I feel like there's a spirit of the Treaty of Concordia even when people don't know about the Treaty of Concordia. So for you, like, how come we know how to live according to the Treaty of Concordia, but we don't know the text? You talked about education.
To me, I think it's because it's so old. It's 377 years. So I want to say it always been there.
Mm-hmm.
So like naturally we live according to it.
Yes.
Generation after generation lived according to it. So I think that's why people, as you said, live according to it.
Yes.
But they don't really know about the treaty.
Mm-hmm. I said that they live according to it, but to a certain degree, don't you feel that they live above, like they do more than what was like just what the treaty just established? Do you feel that we really embodied it above just the text?
Yeah, we do embody the Treaty of Concordia. For example, we could see it when the police are cooperating during the great events, like, for example, the carnival. Or we can see it with the use of both of the airports of the island. For example, people from French side use the airport from Dutch side to travel internationally. So we can see it, yes.
Definitely. And what do you have a fondest memory of on the Dutch side or a fondest memory in the French side?
I do have one actually.
Yeah.
So basically, it's with my family.
Mm-hmm.
Every 23rd, I believe, of December, we go Christmas shopping, but on the Dutch side.
Okay.
So that's the last minute Christmas shopping. So, everybody's rushing.
Yes.
And it had this one year that we went and we was walking across around town and it had this earthquake.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't feel it because we were walking. So, it's more difficult to feel an earthquake when you're in movement. But people started freaking out. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? And I was like, what's happening? And that, I was small, so it marked me, and I got so scared. I was like, I'm never going back down again.
So do you have, we're coming to the end of this first discussion about the Treaty of Concordia. Do you have any closing words about its importance?
I personally feel, as an island, there's no longer French and Dutch side. I feel like we are one. We are one people. Yeah. Our predecessors had the Treaty of Concordia. I don't think they saw it going this far. I feel like they saw it just as we respect our own, you respect your own. But now we are our own. So yeah.
Okay.
That's true.
I think these are great closing words. Thank you for this first topic.
Thank you.
And we'll meet the others soon for the second topic of discussion. Yes, I think we're good. We're going to talk now about free circulation. Some of you mentioned going to the French side, to the Dutch side. So that's what we're going to be talking about how we live as friends on both sides, and once again, how we can use our resources of the island on both sides again. But first, before welcoming your colleagues from the councils, we're going to go to the next extract, the next street interview to see what the people had to say about free circulation and the Treaty of Concordia.
Que pensez-vous de cette idée de libre circulation?
I think that's amazing.
I think it's good on paper.
Des fois, c'est compliqué.
C'est vrai que si à chaque fois on était arrêté pour passer d'un côté de l'autre, ça paraît assez contraignant.
J'imagine pas que on doit passer à la porte hollandaise, il faut une identité spécifique pour passer là.
Si l'île était plus grande, d'accord, mais c'est petit. This is a small island, 30-something square miles.
For a little island like St. Martin, to have a border is ridiculous.
Donc forcément, tu vas pas mettre une frontière dans ta chambre et ta cuisine, hein?
Can't put tool or put thing for Black Road.
I think it's very important that we maintain that, because the people is one, Dutch and French, and I'm a good example.
Eh ben moi j'aime bien côté hollandais et j'espère que côté hollandais aime bien côté français.
Côté hollandais, c'est beaucoup mieux géré. Excusez-moi de le dire, mais c'est comme ça. Je suis français, mais bon.
My mother's from the French side, my father's from the Dutch side.
My family's from the French side. I was born on the French side, but I was raised on the Dutch side.
My wife is from the French side, and I'm from the Dutch side.
So it gives you a great working relationship with both of them, that I can move freely to go to the French side and move freely to come to the Dutch side.
Because we're the only island in the Caribbean that can do so.
Bienvenue encore une fois sur cette discussion sur le traité de Concordia, partie 2, et on va parler de libre circulation. So for this part 2 of our discussion on the Treaty of Concordia, you've heard it, the topic is free movement, free circulation, and we have with us new members of the youth councils. Représentant le Conseil Territorial des Jeunes, nous avons Will, ainsi que Mélie. And representing the youth parliaments, we have Sabea, and we have Javier. So, you've heard it, the topic is free circulation. Some people mentioned during the street interview certain things. Some mentioned advantages or the fact that it was obvious that we needed a free circulation because the island is so small. So what are your reflections on that question? Que pensez-vous de la libre circulation à Saint-Martin? Est-ce une réalité? Est-ce un mirage? What do you think of that question?
So it's a reality because unlike other islands or countries, we have a border, but it's not physical. So when we speak about free movement, it's really free.
How do you feel about that?
Well, personally, I think that if the border had to be like controlled, the traffic would be like way worse than what it is already. So the fact that it's free, it's already a good advantage for us.
Okay, so it's a matter of practicality as well.
Yes.
Okay, how do you feel about that?
I consider it a privilege that we can move from that side to front side without the need for legal documents, like passports and IDs.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good thing that we don't have to do that all the time because it could get really stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree as well. I agree with what Will said. If the borders were controlled, there would be it would take a longer time for us to go from the French to Dutch or the Dutch to French, which it already takes a whole hour to do so.
It can take a long time. There's another place in the world where you have this idea of free movement. Do you know where?
No.
Between borders?
Free movement. No.
Free movement or free circulation, we talk a lot of it when we talk about the European Union.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So how do you feel about the fact that we have free movement? We have had this treaty for 377 years, but the European Union is also championing it. So do you feel that we have differences between these two realities, or how is it similar what's going on in Europe and on the island, from what you've heard or what you've seen?
We find similarities, like there's people on the Dutch side who lives on the Dutch side and come to the French side for the schools, since public school are free. We also find French people who go to the Dutch side for employment and other stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of like the Union European with the Espace Schengen.
Yes. Do you get to travel to the French side as residents, I suppose, of the Dutch side?
Well, I live in South Reward.
Mm-hmm.
The French side does not see me as much.
It's far.
Yeah, like they like to call it the back of God, in the back of God. For me to go from where I live to over here, it's going to take way too long. We'd rather just keep to ourselves. Yeah.
Well, unless you do a hike or you go through the hills. If you go through the hills, it's way quicker. There used to be a route actually going from the French side to the Dutch side through these hills. So people who would live in the valley of Cul-de-Sac would travel through the hills of Concordia and Marigot to travel to the French side. So maybe an idea when you want to come to the French side. What about you? Are there certain activities that you get to enjoy on the French side?
I would say mostly for healthcare because it's a lot more economic on the French side, and I find that certain parts of it is better because it's more advanced, and also for shopping.
Okay. Do you experience shopping on the Dutch side?
Less, but we usually go for activities like the cinema or for restaurants, mostly.
Okay.
Well, basically everything I do is on the Dutch side. Well, eat, do my activities, shopping, food shopping, clothing shopping. So yeah, Dutch side kind of sees me more if I have things to do.
Okay. So you really take advantage of this freedom of circulation.
Yes.
Can you think of any time in the past where the border wasn't open?
For the pandemic, the COVID. Since there are two distinct political systems, they had different ideas and they closed the border. And it was really hard for those who live really close to the border, since some went shopping or wanted to maintain ties with their family and couldn't pass.
So do we see that we really live the reality of this free circulation, and once a border is put in place, it becomes complicated for some to do their daily activities, right? Do you want to add anything about this episode of the pandemic or something else?
Well, yeah, as she said, mostly for like family members, it becomes very hard because like if your grandmother living on the side and you're on the French side, you have to go, but you can't because of the borders. Then yeah, that became a problem. And also shopping wise, it became a problem for me because like food, like you were running out of stuff French side and still had it on the Dutch side. So yeah, it was something.
Do you see any downside to this freedom of circulation, this free movement?
Downsides?
Not really.
I would say for the French side, yes, because about healthcare, when French people go to the Dutch side, we don't have the insurance, so our system will help us for the economic field won't work on the Dutch side. So it's I will say it's a cons for us.
Okay.
I would say the same for us on the Dutch side, because when we have to come do healthcare on the French side, we have to convert the cash or pay out of pocket because medical insurance isn't a part of the collaboration.
Okay, so it's like our livelihood or way of living goes quicker than what is put in place to adapt to the way we are living, basically. Okay, do you think that we could go to a system where all the people who live on the French side only stay on the French side, and all the people who live on the Dutch side only live on the Dutch side? Do you think it's feasible?
No, it wouldn't make sense.
Okay.
Like at all. Because we said earlier that some people live on the French side, go to school on the Dutch side, and vice versa, and same with work. So if we were just to stay on our own sides, it would be tough for both sides equally to function day to day, seeing as how we are small, and that you can get better things like we said about the healthcare. It is more advanced on the French side than it is on the Dutch side, and if we were to just say shut down the borders, then we would have to figure it out.
Yes, definitely. You know, when I mentioned the downsides, I was thinking about the fact that, yes, you can circulate freely when you have good intentions, but also when you have bad intentions, right?
Yes.
Do you have any anecdotes or things that you heard about regarding that?
I mean, most people, in that case, if you do something bad on the Dutch or French side, you can go like on the other side and you won't really have any problems.
So they did add certain laws and cooperation in order to, like police cooperation, but indeed this freedom of circulation is also in place for those who have bad intentions. But we cannot blame or sanction the whole of us for the few of us who are doing bad things. So yes, I think we can all agree that the freedom of circulation that is on the island is something that we want to maintain, correct?
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for participating to this round. Do you have anything to add before we close?
Less traffic, please.
We were talking about advantages. I would like to talk about the airport. On the French side, we can only use it for the regional transport. So it's really useful for us to go to the Dutch side and move to the international, to France, to the USA, and all. So this kind of cooperation is really important for us.
Yes, because if we didn't have the Dutch side airport, I mean, it would be a very struggle to like travel from the French side, because you would have to go like from French side, go to our next country, then go to the country that you want to go to. So yeah, that's an advantage.
Yeah, it should be maintained. They want our airport, we want their hospital. So on that note, I would say let's keep it where it is. Thank you.
Très bien. Eh bien, merci à tous d'avoir participé à ce deuxième round de notre conversation sur le traité de Concordia. So we're going to get to the next topic with another team of youth council members. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Quelles sont les difficultés auxquelles vous faites face et comment le traité peut-il aider?
Les difficultés là, au moment là, je ne vois pas.
What kind of challenge?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe a lot of people are out of job, looking for job, you know.
There's no challenge really, it's just like the nice weather and like sky of it. Well, most likely traffic.
C'est beaucoup la route est très dangereuse par contre.
Le trafic, il y a de manque de logement, voilà, il y a des gros problèmes côté hollandais ou côté français, je pense.
I think it would be education, you know, for the younger generation.
We all have to make sure that we have it down pat, that we have a good working relationship, that the both government can work together, put the rules and regulations together, that you know that things flow properly.
Ce que je n'avais pas apprécié du tout, c'est pendant le Covid qu'on n'ait pas été capable de s'entendre côté hollandais et côté français pour vraiment mettre les mesures de prévention ensemble, quoi.
And we need more schoolings, more like the older folks show the younger ones.
For me, St. Martin has always been the model for what Europe has today as open borders. And there's no way we can go back from it. And for someone that's been living here all of my life, which is almost 60 years, there's no way that we can ever go back from this. Perfect for St. Martin.
Bienvenue dans cette troisième partie de notre discussion sur le traité de Concordia. We just saw the street interviews for the third question, which was, what are the challenges that you deal with and how can the treaty help? Pour répondre à ces questions, nous avons autour de la table de nouveaux membres de nos conseils des jeunes. Pour représenter le Youth Parliament, we have again Enrique.
Hola.
And then, pour représenter le Conseil Territorial des jeunes, nous avons Jade, Myrline et Lovie.
Bonjour.
Alors, vous avez fait ces street interviews, ce micro-trottoir. Comment ça s'est passé? Comment ils ont réagi? Et c'était quoi un petit peu leur impression par rapport à cette question des défis qu'ils rencontrent et comment le traité peut les aider?
Ils étaient très réactifs et parlaient beaucoup de la circulation, des routes. Ils savaient très bien le sujet concernant toutes les problématiques que cela pose. Donc j'étais très surprise et ça m'a beaucoup plu.
Do you have any feedback on how the street interviews went, especially regarding this question of the challenges that the people meet and how the treaty can help them?
Well, most people I interviewed, because yes, I'm the person on the street interview video, most people I interviewed didn't really find any challenges per se that they face, other than traffic, of course, that they face on the island.
Pensez-vous que le traité de Concordia peut être une réponse à certaines des problématiques, ou est-ce que vous pensez que voilà, nos problèmes sont décorrélés de la question du traité et de la coopération?
Alors, je pense que certaines questions comme le trafic n'est pas un sujet que le traité de Concordia peut aider, mais une collaboration entre la partie hollandaise et la partie française qui pourra peut-être élaborer différents plans pour faire face à ce problème que beaucoup de gens disent.
Moi, je pense personnellement que le traité de Concordia est la porte ouverte, en fait, pour tout challenge qu'on peut rencontrer sur l'île. Parce que dans le traité, on parle de collaboration et unité. Du coup, avec ça, avec ces mots-clés, toutes sortes d'épreuves que nous rencontrons du côté hollandais ou français, le traité est la porte, en fait, de pouvoir apporter des solutions à nos problèmes. Voilà.
Okay. So you have different perspectives, which is quite interesting. So Jahid explained us that collaboration would more be the route to go, while Maarten was explaining that the treaty can be considered as a door through which we can treat certain of our issues. Do you have in mind any issue that we had and that the treaty or that collaboration was able to solve to have better cooperation between both sides?
Est-ce qu'on parle de récemment ou dans toute l'histoire?
Ça peut être récemment, comme tu veux.
On a pu régler le problème de conflit entre les deux côtés, donc je trouve que ça c'est très très bien, parce que ça a permis d'unir l'île, même si ça ne se voit pas toutefois, mais bon, je pense que ça a pu aider quand même.
D'accord.
Moi, je pense aussi que le traité a beaucoup aidé. Déjà par rapport à l'année dernière, je pense, quand il y avait le carnaval côté français, les policiers côté hollandais ont rapporté un renforcement du côté français. Aussi, lorsqu'il y avait Irma, du coup, les frontières, oui, ils étaient fermées à un moment pour éviter de propager la maladie de plus en plus. Mais à un moment, quand la circulation était de nouveau ouverte, les personnes côté hollandais apportaient de l'aide au côté français et pareil, vice-versa, parce que côté français, je pense, on avait de l'électricité à certains endroits et pas côté hollandais. Du coup, les personnes venaient recharger leur téléphone, voilà.
Yeah, so in the past, if I can summarize what you said, there has been instances where we had troubles or problems on the island, whether it was Irma, whether it was COVID, or also security, because when both polices join forces for carnival or such events, it's to tackle the issue of security. And so we've had instances where both sides were able to collaborate to resolve this issue. Can you think of anything else? Do you want to add something regarding that collaboration and the issues that we face?
Well, I was going to mention Irma, but
yes,
I find that the Treaty of Concordia really shows during that type of crisis, because according to the treaty, both sides are supposed to help each other basically. So when the Irma happened, we can do disaster reliefs to other places. The whole island basically combines. We could become one, as it should be, and. For instance, they have K1 Disaster Relief. That's a non-profit organization that actually helped during the hurricane. They provided relief and food boxes, and if they need to clear debris or whatever, they provided to both Dutch and French sides. So that was made possible through the Treaty of Concordia.
Alors oui, effectivement, les cas de crise catastrophique, les crises naturelles sont un moment où cette entraide est fort précieuse. I do want to highlight that I believe in 2023 we had the water pipes that were linked, so that in case of a water issue on one side, we can have water from the other side. So that's also a great example of collaboration. But I think we can go further. What are certain maybe areas where you would like us to go further to resolve certain issues?
Anyway, go ahead. Okay. So they just make us believe basically that the problems that we are facing and that we want to bring a solution to are sometimes impossible. For example, the telecommunication. When we cross the borders, our phone doesn't work, for example. They want to make us believe that because we go to the French side, we change in countries, so
the communication is cut. But I believe in bigger countries, they are way more further than each other than us, French and Dutch side. So I believe that they want to make us believe that because we pass in a border, we can have a communication, but I believe it's still possible. Same thing for the electricity, same thing for the water. We are a very small territory. We can have one for the both sides. But again, voilà.
Oui, on aurait un petit peu dit que les gens peuvent circuler, mais que les réseaux s'arrêtent en fait.
Voilà,
les réseaux
c'est ça.
suivent une barrière invisible.
Voilà, il y a une barrière invisible, une file, enfin, on passe une corde. Et je trouve que le traité, il est très important. Et il est bien, il est magnifique sans le traité. Je ne sais pas comment on aurait fait, because we wouldn't be able to go on each other's sides. I go Dutch side for my groceries. If I couldn't, I don't know how I would have done. But I believe that we can go even more further than just having a free circulation.
Yes, I believe that once I cross to Marigot or I go through French Quarter sides, my internet, my data, my cell service should still be there because there's not, as she said, an invisible wall between both sides. As well, it's a small country, a small island. They should be able to free roam in between both sides. They shouldn't be designated French side as just a completely different, like, let's say, a completely different continent.
I agree.
So, from what I understand, you believe that for certain activities such as telecommunications, we could have solutions, but the people talked about traffic, so no solution for traffic.
Traffic is a big problem, mais malgré ça, je pense qu'il y a beaucoup de choses qu'on peut quand même faire pour régler ce problème. J'ai fait des recherches et selon les réponses que j'ai eues des gens, beaucoup de gens m'ont dit qu'on pourrait ouvrir des nouvelles voies ou des frontières qui ont été fermées, refaire des routes ou des trucs dans le genre. Mais je pense que ça ne s'arrête pas que à ouvrir des frontières qui ont été fermées. On peut trouver des solutions si vraiment on choisit de le faire.
So Jaid was mentioning that to help with traffic, we could open other points of the border, create new roads, but it's a complex issue, right?
Yes. Traffic is a very complex issue, especially since we, as our main industry is tourism. So the influx of tourists renting cars, rental cars, plus the influx of probably new drivers. A lot of people are turning 18. A lot of people are getting their license or driving without a license. So the influx of all of these different factors rise traffic in the area, like Marigot to Colby, French Quarter, the Dutch Quarter, all of these areas. Yeah, there's a reason why it's not just invisible traffic, someone deciding to stop in the middle of the road.
Yes.
Hopefully.
So, quick question, yes or no question to end this round. Would you be for or against common regulations to tackle the challenges of Saint Martin? For, against?
For, because like the lady mentioned on the street interview, there's a problem with housing, and the gentleman also spoke about employment problems. I believe that that's a big issue on both sides, because when we had a conversation with the YMP 2 weeks ago, they were also telling us how they had the same problem on the Dutch side. They go away for their studies, they come back, there's no jobs, there's no housing, and they just don't want to come back because there's nothing to come back to. So I believe that if we can make the treaty live for the future generation by bringing solutions through the treaty, it would be a good start déjà from now. So from the French and Dutch getting together as the unity, it can make a change.
Très bien, eh bien, merci beaucoup pour votre participation à cette troisième partie de notre discussion sur le traité de Concordia. Merci Myrline, Jade, Lovie et Enrique. So we are going to end this part of our discussion, and the next phase is to have our closing words with our elected officials. So we will be welcoming Dominique Louisy, who is the troisième vice-présidente de la collectivité de Saint-Martin en charge du développement humain et de la citoyenneté, ainsi que Melissa Gomes, the Honorable Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports. Et nous sommes sommes de retour maintenant avec les élus représentants de la collectivité de Saint-Martin et du gouvernement de Saint-Martin. Thank you to the Honorable Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports, Melissa Gomes, for being with us today. Et merci à la troisième vice-présidente en charge du développement humain et citoyenneté de la collectivité de Saint-Martin, Dominique Louisy, pour sa présence. Alors, nous avons passé un bon moment avec les jeunes. They talked to us about the Treaty of Concordia, free movement, free circulation, what was the importance of the treaty. They also mentioned that there were challenges because we also did a street interview and so the people of St. Martin were talking about the challenges. Ils ont parlé d'embouteillage, de trafic, ils ont parlé de logement, différentes problématiques et on leur a demandé est-ce qu'ils pensaient que le traité pourrait être une solution. Donc ce sont les discussions qu'on a eues ensemble. La question que j'ai pour vous, c'est est-ce que vous pouvez nous faire un petit topo sur où en est le traité de Concordia, où en est la coopération sur l'île. So, where are we currently regarding the Treaty of Concordia, its implementation, its progress, and the cooperation on St. Martin in a more general way?
Ok, je vais. Ok, bonjour à tous et à toutes. Alors, où en est le traité de Concordia? Je ne sais pas s'il y a grand-chose qui a changé depuis 1648, mais Mélissa en parlera parce que nous avons eu un échange sur un sujet précis concernant l'alimentation. Donc, ça s'est fait dernièrement. Donc, elle est en train d'innover, je veux dire, puisque ça vient d'elle. Mais le traité en lui-même, je n'ai pas l'impression qu'il y a eu beaucoup de changements. On le fait, entre guillemets, régulièrement. Et voilà, c'est juste une institution et c'est vrai que ça serait bien d'aller un petit peu plus loin.
I think for me, it's the spirit of it, I think, has been a bit lost over the years. And I think a lot more could have been done, I think, in not just talking about cooperation and collaboration, but actually acting on it. For myself now, as a new minister, that's what I've try to do, at least meeting with Madame Louisy, at least once to get the ball rolling on certain things that education and youth can collaborate on, because I think especially, our young people struggle with this division the most. Mm-hmm. I think you have students from the Dutch side going to school on the French side, and then one on the French side going to school on the Dutch side. So for me, it's about how do we not just talk about it, but actually move forward with it in the spirit of the treaty.
Oui, exact. Mais est-ce qu'il y a, même si le traité est très vieux, j'imagine qu'il y a eu d'autres réglementations, d'autres avancées qui ont été faites. D'ici là, do you think of any other legal pieces, laws that were implemented to have the treaty as a basis, but to go further on cooperation in a general fashion?
Nothing as yet. I think when it comes to justice, we've had a lot of progress, but not so much everything else. Sometimes you hear Dutch side politicians talk about a sin tax on sugar, alcohol, tobacco, but then if you do that on the Dutch side, what happens on the French side? And in the 90s, you saw it with the gasoline tax. The Dutch side put in the gasoline tax and everybody flocked to French Quarter to get gas for their car. And it almost killed our economy on that part. So you have to, I think the cooperation has to go beyond, matching and stuff. It has to go like, what are legislative ways we can collaborate that are in the competency of the collectivité to then make sure that, what is done on one side will not negatively impact the other.
Oui, effectivement, il y a la question de la législation, mais aussi il faut se voir. Vous avez mentionné que vous vous êtes rencontrés récemment. Semaines, ouais. Est-ce qu'il y a des sujets que vous pouvez révéler comme ça, dont vous aviez parlé?
On peut en parler. Ça concerne la CETOS.
D'accord.
Parce que comme je suis présidente de la CETOS, et l'idée serait de fournir des repas pour les jeunes de la partie hollandaise. Donc on est en train de réfléchir à la convention parce que je pense que côté hollandais c'est un petit peu plus facile au niveau des lois et côté français c'est toujours un petit peu compliqué, on va dire. Donc c'est ce qu'elle a dit un petit peu. Je veux dire, il y a des lois, mais chaque partie de l'île a ses propres lois et ça ne facilite pas trop notre travail. Et c'est vrai que côté français, avec l'article 74, c'est vrai qu'on a un peu plus de liberté, mais il y a certaines choses qu'on est obligé d'aller téléphoner à Paris pour savoir si on peut le faire. Donc voilà.
En tout cas, ce que je peux dire des échanges que j'ai eus avec les jeunes aujourd'hui, c'est que pour eux, c'est tout à fait naturel de vivre comme ça sur l'île. Et donc, ils sont bien sûr en attente de pouvoir continuer et ne verraient pas l'île fonctionner différemment. De votre côté, est-ce qu'il y a des thématiques spécifiques sur vos portefeuilles? Donc, education, culture, youth and sports. Est-ce que vous pouvez me donner a few words, a few themes, a few ideas regarding cooperation, regarding both sides?
As Madame mentioned, the CETOs, for example, definitely sorting that challenge, because I don't think you need to have two of the same on each side. With sports, building cooperation where we can have mutual use of facilities. If we know collectivity comes able to play basketball on the Dutch side, we should also be able to do the same. So those are some of the areas I'm looking at. And from a culture perspective as well, how we can do more things together and grander, I think. Yeah.
Ok.
Alors, je suis tout à fait d'accord. C'est, par exemple, avoir des grands terrains sur les deux côtés de l'île, c'est ridicule. Donc, il faudrait qu'on arrive à coopérer. Alors après, il y a l'histoire d'argent, combien on va mettre chacun. Mais il faudrait vraiment qu'on considère le territoire vraiment comme un seul territoire. Parce qu'on dit toujours one love, one machin. Mais en fait, en réalité, chacun construit les mêmes choses. Et nous ne sommes pas suffisamment nombreux. Un grand terrain de foot par ici, un grand de basket de l'autre côté, et je pense que ça serait amplement suffisant. Il faudrait qu'on arrive vraiment à coopérer. Enfin, je laisse ça dans la main des jeunes. Hein. Je pense qu'il faudrait vraiment faire ça pour que le territoire avance. Ça fait des économies, parce que si nous, on fait un terrain de foot, la partie hollandaise fait un grand terrain de basket, c'est de l'argent économisé automatiquement. Et voilà, je pense que c'est dans ce sens-là qu'on devrait aller. Et dernier point, il faudrait qu'on arrive à se mettre d'accord sur l'environnement.
L'environnement, ok.
Parce que là, je pense qu'il y a un sujet aussi.
Très bien. Eh bien, merci beaucoup pour votre participation, puisque on sait c'est de vos portefeuilles de parler de jeunesse, et je pense qu'ils ont aussi apprécié de vous voir, et vous leur laissez la main et seront prêts à la prendre.
Tout à fait.
Alors, merci à tous d'avoir assisté à cette table ronde sur le traité de Concordia, sa réalité, ses enjeux actuels, et passé aussi un petit peu. Merci bien sûr aux équipes coordonnatrices d'avoir organisé cet échange. On a une pensée notamment pour Alex Richard, puisqu'il accompagne ce projet depuis plusieurs sessions avec le Conseil Territorial des Jeunes. Merci bien sûr à IOTV de nous avoir accueillis dans ses locaux et assuré la production de cet événement. Et vous pourrez regarder ce débat encore sur iotv.fr. Merci beaucoup.